Rick in Dallas. Hey, Rick, thanks for calling. What's up?
Hello.
Rick, there you are. What's up?
I am going. I'm fine. I'm just so elated because the thing about it is, although we were talking, and pretty much Niner fans, Niner players were basically just saying, look, if we have a healthy team versus Philly's team, we believe we will win. And so they called it whining, crying, whatever. And I would say, look, we went into your house. And we had a slow start, but I think that's because we abandoned the run on the first two drives. But after that, once we got into what we need to do, and our defense stood up in that first quarter and kept it 6 versus 14, which I think was huge. And once we got that first touchdown, everything changed, and nobody's even talking about the famous Philly fans leaving the stadium, the link, leaving early. What these cry fans which are funny. I'm like, what? You have so much to talk about. What about when a bully actually fights another bully? What's going on there? Because they didn't look the same way. Jalen Hurts didn't look. We gave him basically a garbage touchdown at the end of the game, but we were more physical than them. We ran the ball down their throats. I love that Lenore to Swift hit. That pretty much symbolized our entire game.
It was good. Yeah, Rick, great call. And I think you bring up an interesting point. And I want to see if I can say this without making it sound like I'm doing a victory dance on Philly, because I actually love the city. I love the city of Philadelphia. I've visited there a number of times, and I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, the history of Philadelphia, thank you, within our country is significant, the tourist attractions. What's funny about it is the idea that the average Philly sports fan would be, as Rick just called them, the big bully, is absolutely hysterical. That's not what drives Philly at all. I would argue that almost in a mysterious way, Philadelphia's got the biggest inferiority complex of any group of people I've ever met in my entire life when it comes to sports.
Well, they should.
This is right.
They're inferior.
This is a fan base that in week 1, if the other team drives down the field and scores to make it 7-0, they will start chanting, "Let's go Sixers." It is their way of saying, well, this season's over.
Right.
So let's move on to the next one again. And so the idea that they're the big bully on the block, they're absolutely the opposite. They are maybe some of the most mentally fragile with what they've been through of fan bases I've ever seen. So this persona that they've built around their stadium, oh, you got to come into the link. Oh, okay.
But that's
it's
the nature
loud.
of bullies,
yeah,
Mark.
That's
what bullies are. Bullies are more bark than they are bite in terms of the very nature of what a bully is. And Philadelphia comes by its inferiority honestly. If you go back to 1980, and we're now looking at 43 years of sports, and we talk about the big three, and how many titles has the mighty Philadelphia, the best fans in all of sports. We're the best sports town out there. I believe they've won 4 titles in baseball, basketball, and football in 43 years. The Sixers have 1, 1983. The Phillies have 2, and I go back to 1980 to make sure they get a second one so they feel good about themselves.
Yep.
And the Eagles
with Nick Foles
have 1.
Yep.
Out here, I mean, it's been an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, the Warriors have done that in the last decade by
themselves. The Giants have 3. Since 2010, we've got 7 out here. And the Niners are knocking on the door, and they have been for a while, and maybe they'll get another one, but they've already given us 6.
Well, but no, you went back to 1980. So
I just meant since 2010.
Okay.
We've got 7.
Yes. Since
2010. We've got 7. Since 1980, they have 4. So their inferiority is earned out there.
But you're talking about results, and I don't know that. I'm
a results guy. Yeah, we've been over this.
I know, but the fans have no control over that. I'm not saying they're not good fans. They are good fans. You're just not as intimidating as you think you are.
Well, their process, and we talked last week about process versus results. As a fan, your process sucks. Because when you boo your team going to the locker room,
I hear you.
Down 14-6, when you act the way you act, I would argue, and I've always made this argument, the way they behave is a detraction for free agents. if I'm a free agent and I have my choice of going to a place that I've never associated with, I'm not from Philadelphia, maybe I don't want to go there because if I do poorly, you get turned on.
Bryce Harper loves it. I mean, he's like emotional about it.
And now he's a made man.
He's a made man. Totally. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things, and you're right. It's not for some people. If you are, someone who's got big ears and big feelings and you hear all that stuff, maybe it's not for you. If you're somebody who goes there and succeeds, my gosh, it's like a drug.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're a hero.
Yeah. Bryce Harper can do no wrong, probably for the remainder of his career.
Yeah.
He's going to be absolutely beloved.
Big Dom. All he did was push a linebacker, and now he'll eat for free from now on, early and often.
Let's go to Scott in Redwood City. Hi, Scott. What's up?
How you doing? Hey, Mark, how you doing, man? I'm a long-time fan. I love you and Dibs, man. But here's the deal. Look at this. Niners 5.1. This is the last time they've done this since 1996. I was one of the first for boxing team in the field. There's no way that this is the best team. These guys are so solid. Debo, oh my goodness. This reminds me of when I was a kid. I was born in 65.
Yeah. Scott, I'm with you. What's missing here, and it may not be for long, but it's very reminiscent of if I asked you what was of the Warriors' run, what was the best team? If we did this in the middle of the regular season, you might actually argue one of the teams that didn't win the championship.
73-9.
Right. So this team's got to finish before we can have the historical reference conversation. But if this does end up with a Super Bowl victory, yeah, we could probably have a conversation about where this team sits in terms of the top Niner teams out there, because statistically they're headed that direction. But
right,
they got to finish it.
You got to get a seat at that table before we talk about who is the best at the table. And right now, you're not at that table. Right now, you are sitting at the table of really good Niner teams that haven't won the Super Bowl. Like last year's team, they don't even get to sit alongside the Kaepernick team that lost the Super Bowl or the Jimmy G team that lost the Super Bowl because you couldn't even get there.
But doesn't this team feel better than those teams? I think that's what people are getting at. I know it's just a feeling right now. It doesn't matter yet. But
I don't know if we could compare this team to the Kaepernick team that lost to Baltimore in New Orleans because the defenses are very comparable, and that offense, the way that offense kind of took the league by storm.
Yeah.
What Colin Kaepernick was doing, and we can say the name Colin Kaepernick, and we all think a million different things. But if you allow yourself to go back to that season when he took over for Alex.
Oh, my gosh.
And the way he was playing.
He was fantastic.
And we all were Kaepernicking. And he was an unstoppable force. You want to talk about running quarterbacks?
No, that guy.
That running quarterback, you couldn't stop him.
What he did to Green Bay twice, once here, once there, is never going to be forgotten. What I'm saying is when I look at this particular team, and if you just want to go with power and talent, this
offense is better. This offense is better.
I mean,
that offensive line was better. This offense is better.
When I look at this Niner team, what I feel right now, the way to define it until you get to the end and without knowing how it's all going to finish, I don't know that I've ever watched, certainly not since the 80s, have I watched a football team where I'm like, you've just got an answer at every position. Like a big-time answer. You know what I mean? There's nowhere I can't look, especially after a game like yesterday. When you see the defensive backfield being the lead story in a football game at Philadelphia, you look around and go, dude, they don't have a weakness. They've just got studs and stars everywhere. Trey Greenlaw goes out and Burks comes in and he's popping people.
It's my guy.
The depth that this team has, the talent that they have, and when they're full strength, the way that they can overwhelm you with matchups is reminiscent of the greatest 49er teams we've seen.
Yeah, and you can win with defense, you can win with offense. And yesterday, they kind of won with both because the defense won the first half and the offense won the second half. And you could say the offense started to win in the second quarter, and that's fine. But the defense kept you in that game, holding Philly to 3 on the first 2 opening drives. That set the tone for the offense to be able to slowly wake up. Kyle Shanahan, you didn't see it. He took a cold glass of water and threw it in all their faces. Said, wake up, guys. Time to wake up here. -6 yards in a quarter. We're not doing that. That was the worst offensive quarter of Shanahan's career in terms of yardage. So they had a chance to wake up because of the defense, and that's where maybe this team is better than that 2012 Niner team that went to the Super Bowl and lost, because that team had Frank Gore, and other than that, offensively, they were not this team.
Remember, you got to give them a second. That was the first road game they've played all year. So you got to give them a second to get used to it.
Right.
No,
right.
I mean, come on. It's nothing but red jerseys in all their other games. So first time, they're like, what? Why is everybody so mad?
Right. Why is the crowd being so noisy on offense?
What's happening?
Don't they know to be quiet?
We're trying to talk to each other down here.